Okay, welcome everyone to this special meeting of the Safety Services and Licensing Committee. I'll ask the clerk to please take the roll.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Present.
Councilwoman Vargas, Councilwoman Jermaine,
Present.
Councilman Campiano, Councilman Riley,
Present.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Present.
Council President Paplaskas.
Here.
Okay, we'll get started. The first item on the agenda is a Class A liquor license. This was continued from November 1st, re-advertised with the correct name and application amended by the applicant. I will ask, is the applicant present tonight? Are you from Oak Lawn Discount Liquors, Bob Gasparos? Okay, thank you. And is there anyone in the audience online? I don't see anyone present in chambers to speak for or against this matter. Could you please raise your hand if you're online and you would like to speak concerning the Class A liquor license application for Oak Lawn Discount Liquors?
See no public comment?
Okay, thank you. Then I'll ask the applicant to please come forward. If you could just give us your name and your address for the record.
Kathleen Champagne, 51 Pheasant Hill Lane, Cranston, Rhode Island.
Okay, thank you, Kathleen. And let's see, this is, would you like to tell us a little bit about your application? Then we'll get questions from the committee and then we'll take a vote.
Well, I received a phone call that I had filled out my application wrong. I put Oak Lawn Liquors, Inc. instead of Oak Lawn Discount Liquors, Inc. And once they told me that that happened, then I came into the city hall and I had it re-advertised with the right name. It was an oversight on my part. I had lost my husband the week before, so I think my mind was not there. And I apologize.
Totally understandable. Thank you. Yes, Council
I'll
President.
make a motion to approve. Second.
Okay. For discussion, is there any questions or comments from the committee? Okay, there being none, clerk, please take the roll.
We're voting to approve, correct?
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas, Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano, Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You are all set. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, moving on, we have 3 licenses coming all for 848 Associates. So I'd entertain a motion to perhaps take these as a block.
Motion to take these as a block?
Second.
Any discussion? Clerk, please take the roll.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas, Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano, Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Motion to approve the block?
Okay, for discussion. Is there anyone online or is the applicant present? Usually no one is present for a renewal, but I just want to check if anyone has anything to say, please raise your hand, or if there's anyone in the audience. Yes, Councilwoman Jermaine.
Public entertainment license, I don't see renewal. Is that under the renewal as well? Oh, sorry. Yeah. So for public entertainment license, I don't see renewal with it. Is that for renewal or it's?
Rose, is that an oversight? They're all renewals, correct?
Yes, they're all 3 are renewals.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Anyone else?
I'm
Councilman
just
Ferry?
curious as to why these are at a special meeting and not just at a regular meeting.
Clerk, could you please explain what happened?
They had not, according to the applicant, he had not received the renewal applications during the summer. So because he missed a deadline for the November meeting, the next meeting won't be till December 6th, and the license expires December 1st. So he wouldn't have a license for 5 days.
So they haven't expired yet.
No, he currently holds, all 3 licenses are currently valid. It's just the liquor license expires December 1st. So he didn't want to wait till the 6th, otherwise he'd lose the license.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilwoman Vargas?
Yes, just curious, what type of entertainment, what are the hours, and is that what this is about? For the entertainment license?
Well, this is for a renewal for all, for all 3 of them. So the entertainment license they already possess as well.
Okay. So is it inappropriate for me to ask what type of events taking place, or are they not putting an event forward? Sorry, is this an event that's taking place, or is this just an actual, just the license in itself?
This is just the license in
Okay.
itself to renew it.
Okay.
As far as I understand.
Right, thank you. No objection.
Anyone else? Okay, clerk, please take the roll.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas, Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano, Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Okay, thank you. It appears those are the only matters on the docket tonight, so I will entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, thank you. 7 o'clock, we have our regular meeting if you're on Zoom. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Tom, are we good on Zoom and YouTube? All right, welcome to the Monday, November 22nd, 2021 council meeting. Madam Clerk, can you please take the roll?
Councilwoman Marino,
Present.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Present.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Present.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Present.
Councilman Donegan,
Present.
Councilman Campiano,
Present.
Councilman Riley,
Present.
Council President Ferry,
Present.
Council President Paplaskas.
Present, will you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Okay, we'll entertain a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes of the last meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, can you please take the roll?
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Moving on to public acknowledgements and accommodations. We have numerous student athletes here for awards this evening. So this portion of the meeting, I will turn over to Councilwoman Nicole Renzulli.
Good evening. Started in 1953, Cranston League for Cranston's Future, better known simply as CLCF, was formed as an organization that almost acts as an extension of Cranston's recreation department. It has grown from a handful of caring people to a social organization embodying hundreds of adults and nearly 5,000 youths, both boys and girls from the city of Cranston and its surrounding communities. CLCF track started in the 1970s, but it's consistently operated year after year since 1992, when I myself ran for CLCF. Since then, CLCF formed the Panthers Running Club and includes cross-country at both the recreation and junior Olympic levels. Their mission is to provide a safe, healthy, and positive environment for youth athletes. They seek to provide each athlete with the opportunity to reach his or her potential by developing endurance, speed, strength, and character. We encourage good sportsmanship, self-esteem, and goal-oriented work ethic. Tonight, we are honoring the 11 and 12-year-old boys division team for their victory at the New England Championships. Coincidentally, after we printed these awards yesterday, they also won the Northeastern Region Championship, and they will now travel to the Junior Olympics National Championship in Kentucky on December 11th. I would like to invite their coaches, Greg Brennick and Jamie Brinker, to come and stand for some photos. And I'd also invite Councilwoman Jessica Marino, who herself was also an elite cross-country runner, but for the Smithfield Striders, to come and help distribute the awards. Just watch out for the wires. You guys come forward.
The Cranston City Council be known to all that the Cranston City Council hereby issues this citation to Kingston Beha of the 11-12 Boys Division CLCF Panthers Racing Team for winning the 2021 USATF New England Junior Olympic Cross Country Championship. The entire council extends its sincerest congratulations and very best wishes on this memorable occasion and express their hope for his continued success in the future. Next is Adonijah, correct? Adonijah Martin of the 11-12 Boys Division CLCF Panthers Racing Team for winning the 2021 USATF New England Junior Olympic Cross Country Championship. And the next athlete is, and congratulations to Colton Orr of the 11-12 Boys Division CLCF Panthers Racing Team. Next, we have Shepherd Butler of the 11-12 Boys Division CLCF Panthers Racing Team for winning the New England's. And next, we have Nathaniel Brennick. Camden Florio. Next is Anthony Renzulli. Next is Noah Dos Reis. We have Leo Woodman. Andrew Beverly. And finally, Tristan Brinker.
And we also have an individual honor, a runner from CLCF. She is the individual New England champion for the under-8 girls division, and she also placed second yesterday at regionals. She will be invited to nationals to compete there. Evelyn Yanovich. All right. We also have an athlete here who went through the CLCF system, and we're very proud of her. As a freshman in high school, she was named All-State for the girls cross-country team. She is from Cranston East, Madison Dutra.
Thank you, council members, and thank you to all of the student athletes. Congratulations. And at this time, if you don't want to stay for the entire meeting, it's okay if you leave. I'm not kicking you out. You're welcome to stay, but if you want to hear about all that cool zoning stuff. Okay, at this time, we are going to open up public hearings and public comment For docketed items, try and limit your comment to 2 minutes. I know there's a lot on the agenda this evening. If you already spoke at a committee hearing, and you would just want to rest on your final testimony or say you agree or not agree with something, that's okay too. All members of the council were present at the ordinance committee. At this time, I'll open it up. Anybody in council chambers that wants to come up, name and address for the record. Once we finish in council chambers, so all those on Zoom, we'll have you raise your hand and we'll take you one at a time. So council chambers, one at a time, name and address for the record. Thank you.
John DeBona, attorney with an office at 78 Kenwood Street, Cranston. We're before you before the ordinance committee regarding 2 ordinances. Again, you were in favor of that. We're asking that the ordinances be approved by this committee. The ordinances are for Domain Realty LLC and its principal, Frank DeZoglio, as its member. Again, I'm here if there are any other questions that you have from last time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. DeBona. And if you come up to the podium, just try and move the microphone so that way those watching online can hear you clearly. Anybody else in council chambers for docketed items? Now would be the time to come up. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. President, honorable members of the city council. Again, for the record, Attorney K. Joseph Shikachi, representing the applicant for the zone change on Sage Drive in Cranston. And simply put, we just rest on all the evidence and testimony presented at the ordinance committee, as well as the recommendation from the planning board and planning department, and we have nothing to add at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sakarchi. Anybody else in council chambers that would like to come up? Name and address for the record. Public comment, absolutely, yep. I was just asking to try and limit your comments to 2 minutes. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. My name is Janice Cataldo. I live on Sage Drive. I been here many times before. I'll try to keep my comments very small. And I know that there are a lot of other people that have spoken on this same issue on the Sage rezoning. I also want to point out that we had many, many people who were on Zoom or who were in attendance, and there weren't any of those individuals who were in favor of this rezoning except the developer and his paid associates. I want to talk about 4 impacts of the rezoning on Cranston schools, the traffic, housing, and the tax base. I'll try to be quick. As we talked before, the school is Orchard Farms, that's adjacent to Alpine Estates with a capacity of 360 children. The Department of Ed has done a functional capacity and has determined with using various methodologies that the school would be at 360. At the highest level, the capacity is 433, and we are now at 466. I mentioned about the tax base. All the families that have moved into Sage and Time, the streets that surround this area, have all been families with 2 small children, all needed to be educated. And even though we love the children and they bring a lot of energy and enjoyment from these families, these children need to be educated, and the tax base doesn't offset the $35,000 total education cost. We also mentioned traffic, as we talked before, the area outside of Alpine. There was a traffic study done. It's called the Rhode Island Traffic Flow Analysis Map in 2016 from the Department of DOT. And it showed that the average daily traffic in a 24-hour period showed 73,000 cars had come by that area. And that's one of the highest levels in Cranston. The only higher level of traffic is highway entrances and exits. So as in the recommendation to rezone the property, the letter says the development of this land would not overly burden the city's infrastructure, traffic, water, or sewer. We believe any rezoning to add more homes to this area will impact traffic. In the August 31st letter recommending the rezoning of Sage, Mr. Berry from Planning says the development of this land shouldn't impact the main concerns about housing development in Western Cranston. Why would we approve zoning changes to add more homes to Western Cranston? It's affordable housing that's needed for Cranston as defined on page 59 and 65 of the current comprehensive plan. So we rely on the comprehensive plan to make recommendations, and that's what the director continues to say. This is what we have. This is the plan that Cranston has. So we need to rely on it to make recommendations. While language in the plan would contradict these recommendations, we follow an old comprehensive plan, but ignore the sections that discuss affordable housing, preserving open space, traffic, and capacity.
Ma'am, I hate to cut you off. We're past the 2 minutes.
Oh,
You can wrap it up.
sorry.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you so much. Good evening. Name and address for the record,
Hello,
please.
My name is Susan Bucci. I'm at 67 Sage. I've testified twice before, so I am pretty much going to rest. I just have two quick things I want to say. Yes, thank you. I have two quick things I want to say. In looking into some of the property that was potentially being able to be developed, this property zoning change would go from 4 to 8 houses. The abutting property on Caraway would go from 4 to 16 houses. Then the parcel 35-1-0, 43 acres would go from 21 to 84 houses. That's 108 more houses right in that little area. That's my first point. My second point is this zoning, the zoning change was put into the comprehensive plan at the request of the developer. The property owners requested this to be included in the comprehensive plan. So this wasn't something that just came up. It was requested to be put in there by the owners of the property. My third and final thing is, I've said it a million times, there's only one point of egress in Alpine. And right now we have between 800 and 1,200 cars every day. It's a domino effect. It's going to impact the cars, the traffic, and the schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. For the record, Ed Pimentel, I was the land use consultant engaged by the property owner asking for a zone change on Sage Drive. Just 2 points to reiterate one of the points that I've already testified to. We did a full analysis of every R80 and R20 that was requested by the council, the ordinance committee. There's only 3 remaining properties within Alpine Estates in the comprehensive plan that's supposed to be rezoned to R20. We did analysis of those. It was actually quantified also by your planning staff, but you're looking at maybe an additional 10 to 20 beyond the current zoning. Those are the factual numbers. People keep bringing properties in, other R80 properties, but those are not supported by the comprehensive plan. One final point was, because it's been testified to repeatedly about the dated nature of the comprehensive plan, that it's expired. So this is actually right out of the state law. And I'm going to read this quickly into the record. It talks about what it means to be approved and expired and so forth. So it says expired means that the term of the state approval has expired. While the state is no longer bound by the plan, it remains in full force and effect locally, meaning it still binds all local decision-making. And I'd like to introduce that into the record.
Can I have a motion to accept this testimony as part of the record?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Okay, public hearing. Name and address for the record, please.
Mildred Morera, 25 Caraway Drive. As residents of Alpine Estates for 33 years, my husband and I are opposed to the zoning change from A80 to A20. We are very appreciative to those of you who listened, heard our concerns, and voted not to approve the zoning change at the last meeting, despite the threats, the bullying, the ultimatums, and the strong arm tactics. We are not opposed to the building and development under the current zoning restrictions. Even though we agree that the comprehensive plan needs revising, it still can be used as a reference tool to protect and improve our city, a guide to manage and preserve future growth and change, especially in Western Cranston. There are approximately 440 homes in Alpine Estates, with one entrance and one exit, as you know, with the average household having more than 2 cars. This computes to almost 1,200 cars leaving and entering the development each morning, counting visitors, workers, and deliveries. This is a major safety concern. With many leaving for work or school in the morning, the traffic on Alpine Estates Drive with one exit onto Situate Avenue can be a difficult challenge. Often in frustration, some drivers cut through the school property in order to jump the line to proceed onto Situate Avenue. During the school months, the traffic coming into Alpine Estates Drive in the morning from Situate Avenue, from school buses, and from parents from surrounding neighborhoods who are dropping off children at Orchard Farms further challenges this feat for Alpine residents leaving for work or school. Even though Orchard Farms has its own entrance on Situate Avenue, some school buses and cars choose to use Alpine Estates Drive as an alternative route to approach the school entrance. After-school pickup with school buses and cars also causes a jam. Children who are walkers to Orchard Farms are being put in harm's way, walking to and from school at this very busy intersection with no crossing guard. Orchard Farms is not exclusive to Alpine Estates. It services the many children from the surrounding neighborhoods of Western Cranston. As a retired teacher of Cranston Public Schools, I am well aware of the burden placed upon the teacher in an overcrowded classroom and the negative impact an overcrowded classroom has on teaching and learning. With overcrowding at Orchard Farms being an impending issue, granting this zoning change will be detrimental to the education of these children. Before you cast your vote on this very sensitive issue, and as you consider your approach and perspective on the zoning change from A80 to A20, please consider our valid concerns about the traffic and the overcrowding at Orchard Farms Elementary School. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Name and address for the record, please.
Ben McChrystal, 65.
Sir, can you push the button on there? I'll give you your time back, just
Yeah.
so the green light comes on.
Sure.
There we go.
You want me to start over again?
Start
Ben?
over. Go ahead.
Okay. As far as I know, there is no valid reason. No one has come up with one that I've heard to actually approve this. We know there's too much traffic, there's overcrowded schools, and it's a bad financial equation for the city of Cranston, building these extra houses, the kids, and having to educate them with the taxes that are paid. Only the developer, who isn't even a Cranston resident, is the only one who's going to benefit if you approve this. No residents, no taxpayers, the city of Cranston is not going to benefit. So again, as I said before, we urge you to make a common sense decision tonight and vote the zoning change down. Thanks.
Thank you. Good evening. Name and address for the record.
Joe Narcissi, 22 Caraway Drive. I'll be brief as well. We've heard all of the arguments. There is no benefit at all to the city for approving a zoning change like this. Just a couple notes. The comprehensive plan, once again, yes, it may be in force, but that doesn't mean that it is relevant to the decision. It is not law. The comprehensive plan on its own is not a law. It is a tool to shape and help guide laws, and as such can be disagreed with when there is valid reason to, which, as you have heard over the months and the emails and phone calls, there is more than enough reason to not rezone this property. It does not accurately reflect the current needs of the community, and therefore, needs to be disagreed with in this case. I also wanted to address one other concern. One of the councilwomen had a concern about housing available in Western Cranston for families to move into. As we've all said, we more than welcome new young families that are looking to move in, just as my family did a few years ago. There are plenty of houses going up on the market. There are new developments at A80 that are coming onto the market. But the biggest thing is, just like I said, like my family, you save up, you buy your dream house there. The last thing we want is that family to get there and then be told, oh, guess what? Your kids can't go to the school right here because it's full. And this has already been happening. So, we just want to make sure that families that do come into the area do get the public services that they're paying all this money for and really, striving to get to. We don't want them to have to suffer. And lastly, I think we were all kind of shocked by some of the things thrown out at the last meeting, mentions of votes and things like that. And I just wanted to say that I'm actually very proud of everyone who stood up and said, no, I'm not going to let that sway me. It, made me proud of my city. So we ask you one last time, please say no to this. It does not make sense for the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in chambers for public comment? Now would be the time. On anything, doesn't have to be Sage Drive. Just try and limit your comments to 2 minutes. I see a lot of people on Zoom. I want to give everybody the opportunity to speak. Good evening, name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Cheryl Carbone. I live at 4 Time Drive. In respect of the process, I rest on my prior testimony. I think you've heard my opinions for the last 3 and 4 visits. I am in opposition of this zoning change. There's one thing that I wanted to clarify, that Mr. Casal testified that my husband attended the auction in February of 2003. He was not there. It was Ray Lucetti and Jill. It was Susan and Gary Bucci. So Mr. Casal also testified that we might be jealous of the fact that we didn't win the auction, that he outbid us. We are not jealous people. And Mr. Casal also said that I put together a committee against him. He in fact put the committee against himself because he used the Facebook neighborhood website to ask for a meeting in the cul-de-sac. Everyone attended. These people all attended. I did not. And he said, you're going to give me what I want? They said no. So he created his own committee against him. And if there's anything I can ask you is to just see through the truth and the real reason why this is before you today. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Anyone else in chambers? Good evening, name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, John Marlin, 41 Caraway Drive. I was here a few weeks ago at the Ordinance Committee meeting. I'm not going to repeat everything I said then, but I do agree with what has been said thus far. I do formally oppose this zone change. I'm asking you to all vote it down tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, sir. Name and address for the record.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Anthony Manfredi, and I live at 15 Time Drive. I've testified a few other times before, and I'd just like to say that I'm against this proposal. I just want to, from a personal fact, we've talked a lot about schools. I had a plan as well when we moved there. I have 3 children. My children were in Orchard Farms. I had 2 children in Orchard Farms. And after last year, they weren't getting the attention I felt that they deserved at the time. And I decided I made the move this year to move them to Immaculate. It's a big expense to me, but it was a choice that I had to make. So like I said, we had a plan. It didn't follow through because I didn't feel like they were getting attention. It's not supposed to be. I don't want to talk bad about the school. It's a good school. Just, I felt like they weren't getting what they needed there at the time. So I did make the choice to move my children out of the school, even though I still live over there in the time. I would like to say I'm against it again. And I as well was shocked by the bullying tactics. And I was, very proud of the committee that stood up to those tactics last time we were here. Thank you. Have a nice Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Anyone else here in chambers? Good evening, name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Frank Gibbons, Sage Drive. I testified a lot of times. I don't want to repeat a lot of things that you'll hear because everyone has done a great job on their own research. Thank you guys for being here again and again and again to listen to us. I want to just say one thing in a little bit different sense here and try to break this down to some fundamental issues. On one side, you have residents who care about the city, who live in the neighborhoods. Our kids go to the schools. We're business owners, mothers, fathers, grandparents, husbands, wives. And obviously, you can tell that our community has stood together on what we do not want to see happen in the city. On the other hand, you have a landowner who doesn't live in the city and who bought property zoned A80 and essentially took a gamble that he would be able to effect a zone change to A20 to make it more profitable for himself. And he has also not conducted himself in a manner that is very businesslike by threatening residents and threatening this council as well as the city. So with any gamble, there's inherent risk. And he may not make as much money as he would want if you guys do not put through this zone change. But that in itself is not a reason to put through this zone change. If you allow this zone change to go through, you'll essentially be sending a message that anyone can come to this city as a developer or landowner and threaten its residents and its city council. And as long as you do that, you'll get what you want. Or you can choose to send a message that says that this city council cares about Cranston, cares about its residents, its children, and that this is not an acceptable way to do business. With that said, I hope that you guys do the right thing. And thank you all for listening to us numerous times.
Thank you. Anyone else here in chambers for public comment on any of the docketed items tonight? There being none, we will switch to Zoom. If you're on Zoom, please raise your hand. We'll bring you in one at a time and just try and limit your comments to 2 minutes. And when you start your comments, please give your name and address for the record.
Council name Chrissy Narcissi.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Hear you. Name and address for the record, please.
Sure, thank you. My name is Kristen Narcissi and I reside at 22 Caraway Drive. I'm going to try to be very concise and keep under my 2 minutes as I'm echoing a lot of what I've previously said and what most of my neighbors have said this evening. But I'm here tonight to again ask you firmly and politely to support against the rezoning of the Zero Sage land parcel. Mr. Casal bought the land at A80 and I ask, like my neighbors, for it to remain zoned at A80. By allowing the zoning change from A80 to A20, we are setting a precedent for other lands that are zoned A80 in this area as well. And this does result in the addition of hundreds of homes. We've seen this when we look at the audience and we see the other landowners who have the A80 properties attending these meetings. As my neighbors have said, the schools are already overcrowded, and I do speak to this firsthand as a mother of 2 children who attend Orchard Farms. I live this daily. The number of new homes we'd be adding to this area of Western Cranston will strain us, requiring additional things such as the new school, extra police officers, fire stations, and for what purpose? This is what we come back to time and time again. How does this benefit the community of Cranston? It does not. It strictly benefits the financial gain of the individual landowner, a man who has met with us and has become hostile with his latest threats, including livestock farms and trying to intimidate our own city government. Many of the neighbors, myself included, already struggle with flooding issues and high water tables, so I can't imagine what would happen during new constructions. This area of Western Cranston is truly not designed to have this sort of impact. Again, it does not benefit our community, and the purpose of change should always be to the benefit of Cranston as a whole, not the benefit of a single individual. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Council name Lindsay Delpreet.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Name and address for the record and your time
Thank
start.
you. Yep, Lindsay Delpreet, 15 Dove Court. So I will rest on my previous testimony, as I've had the opportunity to speak several times before this council as well. I will reiterate everything that we've heard tonight and reinforce that I 100% support what my neighbors are testifying to. I do want to just reinforce what Chrissy Narcissi just mentioned in the fact of the water tables. It is a fact. This is not what might happen or could happen or what the potential impact of this decision is. The fact is that the water tables are extremely high on this side of Cranston. We already suffer from very wet properties, especially with rain and snow. With the upcoming winter, we anticipate with a lot of snow, the melt off and the combination of that, it just makes for a very soppy, soggy backyard. It can be very slippery, and as I've said before, we have to wear galoshes essentially to walk in our backyard after a wet couple of days because of the just the water that's making its way down here from all parts of Alpine Estates, because we are at the lowest part of the neighborhood. So I do want to reiterate that. And one last point is that we've heard tonight, that the comprehensive plan, while being expired with the state, is still a guiding principle for the city. Essentially, yes, we understand that, but the key point there is that it's a guiding document. It's not a law. If it was law, we wouldn't be having these meetings. You would not be looking for public comment. It simply would have been passed, and that would have been that. What we are saying and what we are highlighting by the fact that it is expired is that these decisions or these guiding principles that were added to the comprehensive plan were made in a time that is no longer relevant. And we want you to understand that it needs to be updated because things have changed. The environment has changed. The population has changed. There's a lot of new information that needs to be considered. And these decisions can't be made in a vacuum. They can't be made in a way that says we don't take into consideration water tables or soil quality or schooling departments or traffic. That cannot be the way that we proceed with this. And that's why we're so adamant about not leaning heavily on that comprehensive plan, because there's so many new elements to consider. So I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. And again, I oppose this rezoning.
Thank you. If anybody on Zoom would like to give public comment, please use the raise your hand function.
Daniel Marlin.
And it's okay if you want to raise your hand and leave it up. We'll get to you one at a time for how the hands are raised. Danielle,
Good evening. This is Danielle Marlin. Can you hear me?
we can hear your name and address for the record, and your 2 minutes starts now.
Thank you. Danielle Marlin, 41 Caraway Drive. Just wanted to speak up this evening. Thank you for the opportunity to address the committee. I've spoken previously and would just like to reiterate that I am opposed to the rezoning request in front of you this evening. Definitely in agreement with the rezoning concerns that have been shared by my neighbors relative to school capacity, issues with flooding and water tables, traffic concerns. Again, permitting this rezoning opens up the opportunity for a specific parcel adjacent to my property to be rezoned. And just want to reiterate, bottom line, both landowners purchased these parcels, understanding they were zoned as A80. Permitting this rezoning would be inconsistent with more recent decisions specific to Pepper Mill as previously discussed. So just wanted to speak up and voice that I am in opposition to the rezoning, particularly as it does not benefit the larger community or city of Cranston. Thank you for your time and consideration this evening.
Thank you.
See no further public comment.
Okay, is there anyone else on Zoom that would like to speak under public comment? Now would be the time to raise your hand. If you're on the phone, press *9. And that'll raise your hand.
See no public comment.
Okay. One last call for anyone in council chambers. I see no more public comment. I will close public hearing. Public hearings are now closed. I would like to entertain a motion to take the docket out of order so we can hear the Sage Drive item first, since there's a lot of people from the public here.
Motion to take out of order.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas. Yes. Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, I'd like it to direct everybody to page 4. We have ordinance 7-21-17, ordinance amendment of chapter 17, the Code of City of Cranston, 2005, entitled zoning, change of zone, 0 Sage Drive, petition filed by John Casali III, sponsored by Councilmember Riley. This was denied in committee on November 9th, 2021. We're going to need a motion to either approve or deny, and also accept the prior testimony from the ordinance committee as well, and the applicant from anyone that testified.
Motion to deny?
Second.
That needs to include prior testimony as well.
And also to include prior testimony from the ordinance committee?
Thank you. And we do have a second. Councilmember on the discussion, Councilmember Donegan.
Thank you, Council President. A quick question, and a point of order for the, not point of order. Due to the denial in ordinance committee and there's no recommendation from the planning commission, is it accurate that this needs, if it were to be approved, it would need 6 votes, a 2/3 majority of the city council?
Councilman Donegan, as we spoke at the committee level, and I'm in agreement with the solicitor, it would require 6 votes to approve.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other discussion from council members? There being none, we have a motion to deny. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
No.
Councilman Donegan,
No.
Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Madam Clerk, what was the tally on that?
7-2.
7-2. Okay. So we are 5-minute recess. Thank you. Council members, if we can take our seats, I'd like to call this meeting back to order. It is 7:48. So since we're already out of order, and I do see some council out there for a couple of attorneys, there's no objection. I'd like to do a couple other items out of order. I do see counsel for Cafe Day Restaurant and Bar for the safety services and licensing. So under safety services and licensing, we have Class BV liquor license, new over the cap for Cafe Day Restaurant and Bar. This was heard in committee. Chair Renzulli, do you have anything to add to that?
Nope, this was heard in committee and it passed through committee. There were some stipulations put on the licenses, but not in connection with the liquor. As far as I recall, it was closing a little bit early at 9 PM and no music outside.
That's
Yep.
correct. We were here. My name's Frank Manny. I'm an attorney with offices at 1405 Plainfield Street in Johnston. With me is my client Carlos Santos. As you recall, we were here on November 1st. And as Councilwoman Renzulli has stated, that is correct. There was that 11 to 9, I think, hours of operation from Wednesday to Sunday. I think the capacity was limited to 60, but the committee approved the BV license.
Thank you very much. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second before us. Is there any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, you may please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley, Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have counsel here, Attorney DeBono. You are here for an agenda item. Under the Ordinance Committee, we have two items that are for the same property, 8-21-01 Ordinance and Amendment. The Cranston 2010 Comprehensive Plan, City of Cranston as amended for 840 and 846 Oak Lawn Avenue. Petition filed by Domain Realty LLC, sponsored by Councilman Riley. This was approved unanimously in committee. So I entertain a motion for 821-01.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Do we have any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley, Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Okay, same property, 821-02, ordinance amendment of chapter 17, Code of City of Cranston, 2005, titled zoning, change of zone, 840 and 846 Oak Lawn Ave. This did pass in committee, so I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley, Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, for those of you following along at home as well as in chambers, we'll go back to the beginning of the docket and just follow that. On page 2, our resolutions. First up, we have a resolution authorizing filing a grant proposal with the Rhode Island Department of Environmental Management, small and large recreation development projects, sponsored by Council President Paplaskas, and I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Under discussion, I can explain this resolution a little bit. This is a request from our grant writer. She is applying for a grant with DEM, and part of that grant requires us to pass a resolution. The timing on that is coming up on December 17th. Normally, I would have sent this to the Finance Committee, but because of the timing of her needing this for the application, that's why it's before us this evening. So, any other discussion? Councilmember Vargas?
Thank you, Council President. The only thing that I'd like to do on this, well, first and foremost, thank you so much for the resolution. Two, I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor if possible, given the fact of the matter before us. Three, on line item, on line 27, if I'd just like to put a note on there, as some of my council colleagues as well, sorry, if we can capitalize the F under friendly playground, so that way we obviously all know that all of our playgrounds are friendly, but we want to make sure that it is the friendly playground that we are referring to. So we can definitely put playground on friendly, located at the friendly playground. So we can capitalize the F. That's all I ask. I'm not sure if that's to be
I
motion.
don't think we need to do a motion for that. We can.
Just
probably-
capitalize that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
thank you.
On our playgrounds are friendly. For sure.
And that, nope. On that same note, while we're on this resolution, to the administration, Director Tizaglia had reached out to me. He's provided, I see Tony's head nodding, the information over from John LaRue from Big Toys. Did they give you the estimate, Director Moretti? Okay, so for the record, Director Tizaglia did give me a call over the weekend. I did return his message just this evening, but I believe it's on the estimate, which would be going hand in hand with the Friendly Playground grant as well. So if we can definitely finalize that, that would be great. Thank you.
Excellent. Any other co-sponsors for this resolution? Council members Renzulli, Jermaine, Donegan, Marino, Riley, Ferry, Councilmember Campo Piano. So, all right, Madam Clerk, if you can put everybody on there as a co-sponsor. Any other discussion on the resolution?
I just have one quick question.
Sure.
Mr. President. Is this, are these two parks, is the grant per park? Can we get more of these, or is this just a one-time per year and it's going to these two parks?
It'd be one time for this specific grant, but there's always other grants that are rolling out. So this is just an opportunity to apply for this one. But like I said, the resolution is part of the application.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Councilmember Jermaine?
Yeah, I had similar question at Council really, because we know we have a lot of other parks that need updated. So I even submit something as well. So we can open it to more, not only two, but all that's need to be, renovated.
Absolutely. If you have some parks that need to get done, any of your wards, obviously shoot an email to our grant writer. I know some of you have. It seems like some funds are starting to open up now, but I will invite our grant writer back in to give us an update, hopefully next month, to give us an update on what's been going on. Any other discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino?
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas?
Yes.
Councilman Jermaine?
Yes.
Councilman Donegan?
Yes.
Councilman Campiano?
Yes.
Councilman Riley?
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry?
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas?
Yes, resolution passes. Moving on, we have a resolution in recognition of National Adoption Month, sponsored by Councilwoman Renzulli.
Thank you.
Entertain a motion to approve.
Oh, yeah.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilmember Renzulli.
Thank you. Tonight, I'm proud to put forth this resolution recognizing National Adoption Month in the city of Cranston, acknowledging the many children waiting to find their forever families, recognizing that every child should have a permanent and loving family, and encouraging the people of Cranston to consider adoption during this month and throughout the year. The COVID pandemic has made life especially challenging for everyone, but children in the foster care system have suffered tremendously. And for thousands of young people in foster care, navigating the challenges of growing up can be especially difficult without stable family connections. Every child deserves to grow up with a safe and loving family with the care and support of their community. So I encourage during National Adoption Month that we celebrate the children and the families who have been nurtured, enriched and made whole by adoption, and recommit ourselves to ensuring that every child can grow up in a loving and supportive home. There's also been efforts. I'm working with Adoption RI. I'd love to send everyone on City Council a list of some holiday gifts that we can help provide children who are in the foster care system. And I know the mayor's office is additionally working with Foster Forward to collect holiday pajamas. So I hope that everyone will support this resolution. and that we can work together to help the children in the community.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Renzulli. Councilmember Ferry?
Yes, I'd like to thank you for putting this resolution forth. I don't know if you're all aware that 3 years ago, my family was blessed with our first grandchild who was adopted by my son Russell and my son-in-law Ben. And I just want to thank you for doing this, and I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor if possible.
Thank you. Councilmember Riley?
Thank you. I'd also like to thank Councilwoman Renzulli. Adoption is a great tool. I work in the juvenile justice system daily, handle many adoptions, many guardianships, a lot of DCYF work, and what these kids go through, you don't wish upon anyone, and it's heartbreaking to see it. But the highs are just that much higher when you are able to help them get in with their families and solidify that for them. So this is great. I'm so glad you did this, and I'd also like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other discussion? Councilmember Marino?
Thank you. Thank you to Councilwoman Renzulli for bringing forth this resolution. I would love to be added as a co-sponsor as well. There are some close cousins of ours that have adopted children over the years, and it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And one side note, since we have a little forum here, someone in our family who has an adopted daughter, it comes up every so often, something that I myself am guilty of, is that when we use terms of like, adopt a spot or things of that nature, families who have adopted children, it cuts them a little bit deeply. And it's something that I'll admit I was in the dark on. Because it somehow minimizes the adoption of the child, and it really cuts deeply. So I know for myself, I have to be reminded, and I make an effort, and again, not perfectly, to try and use a different term like sponsor rather than adopt when we're talking about things, because it really cuts those families deeply. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other discussion? Councilmember Jermaine?
Thank you, Council President. I want to really thank Council Renzulli for bringing this resolution. It's really matter for a lot of parents. I know families that are struggling to have a kid and they can't, and they have this opportunity to adopt, to sponsor kids as the council. And it's family, it's not only about having someone from your womb, right? It's make family bonding. So thank you for bringing awareness about that. I would like also to be as a sponsor.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other discussion? Councilmember Vargas?
Not a more so a discussion, but also to be added as a co-sponsor. If you also, again, thank you for bringing this before us.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Councilmember Campopiano?
Thank you, Councilwoman Renzulli, for bringing this forward. I also like to be a co-sponsor.
Thank you. Councilmember Donegan, co-sponsor? Thank you. And I will co-sponsor as well. So great resolution. I think we all co-sponsored it, and look forward to seeing its passage. Any other discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, can you please take the roll?
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council President Ferry.
Yes.
Council President Paplas.
Yes. Okay, moving on the docket, we are on page 3. We have already done the work of the Safety Services Committee. So moving on to Finance Committee, Council Vice President Ferry.
Thank you. We have about 10 items on here for finance tonight. First is Ordinance 9/2106 entitled Revenue and Finance, Real Property for Tax Freeze for the Elderly. This was approved in committee. I urge passage tonight. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Discussion? Rose, please take a vote.
Councilmember, just when you give the report of committee, just say whether it passed in committee, and then I'll call.
Didn't I say that? It's passed in committee, but
It did, but then you called for a vote.
Oh, I'm
Yep.
sorry.
So any discussion on 9/2106? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Next is 10/21/01, entitled Revenue and Finance Income Qualifications. This passed in committee. May I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this? I'll just say that this is the second part of the ordinance that we just passed with the raising the income limits for the tax freeze for the elderly. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas, Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry. Council
Yes.
President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Next is 10/21/02, enactment of the City of Cranston Administrative Unit Employment Benefits Book. This passed in committee. I urge passage tonight. May I have a motion to approve?
I'll entertain a motion on 10/21/02.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas, Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Next, we have 10/21/04, ordinance ratifying the Teamsters Local 251 contract, term July 1st, 2021 to June 30th, 2024.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion on 10/21/04.
Motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas, Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Next, we have 10/21/05, ordinance and amendment of chapter 3.04 of the Code of the City of Cranston entitled Revenue and Finance Fiscal Provisions. This matter was approved in committee. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Councilmember Vargas.
I'd just like to be added as a co-sponsor if possible to the sponsors.
Any other discussion? There being none. Oh, Councilmember Jermaine.
To be added as a co-sponsor as well.
Councilmember Donegan, co-sponsor. Okay, any other discussion? Councilmember Riley.
Yeah, I would just like to put for the record that while I support all of this, again, it's already law. I didn't see a need for there to be an ordinance, so I am against that, but I am all for the actual law itself.
Thank you. Any other discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Just to clarify, Councilman Riley, are you co-sponsoring us?
No.
Okay. Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
No.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan. Sorry? Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
No.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Next, we have the resolution, American Rescue Plan Act funds, prioritizing use and public input. This passed in committee. I urge passage tonight.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion on the resolution before us.
Motion to approve.
A motion to approve in a second. Any discussion? Councilmember Renzulli.
Thank you. I can't seem to open this on my iPad right now, but I know that I agree with everything in there. I was wondering if anyone would support adding in a survey, as we've discussed, that was on this one, right? That would open up the opportunity for more people to respond, because I know the whole point is to get opinion from our constituency, and having two meetings, even if they go 5 hours long and everyone talks for just a few minutes, we're only going to get 200 people to give their opinion. So if we have a survey, we will get more. And I put out my own survey, just asking people how they would like to give their opinion. And it got just as more responses than a survey Cranston Forward put out. And it was just on my own Facebook. And 64% of people would like a survey of who responded to me. So I just think, it's just broadening the amount of people who can give us their opinion.
Yeah, so I've been thinking a lot about the survey over the past, since the last meeting. So I would like to see a survey. I was actually going to ask if you, Council Member Renzulli, and I think Council Member Vargas it was important to you too, to have a survey. I think if the two of you can work with Budget Analyst DeMayo and Mr. Lima, our multimedia coordinator, to come up with some type of survey, and we can link that on the City Council website. We can just make it something that's shareable. And on top of that, you can also submit testimony through our docket system and when we do have the workshop. So there'll be multiple ways for someone to do that. Thank you. Councilmember Vargas?
Thank you. Yeah, that'd be great. So just curious for institutional knowledge over here. Are we able to put a survey on the council page that's in the city website, or do we need an approval by the mayor's office? And if that is the case, would the director be available to entertain that response, or Steve Paiva?
Yeah, historically, website requests have come from the department heads to the executive office. That's been as long as I've been here, when we switched over to the new website at least. So yeah, the executive office has maintained uploading new content, so.
Would a survey be okay to be placed in on the council, on behalf of the council of that?
Couldn't see why not.
Thank you. Councilmember Donegan?
Oh, I think a survey is great. The objective is to get as many voices at the table as possible.
Excellent. Any other discussion? Councilmember Jermaine?
Thank you, Council President. I agree as well that a survey will be a great tool to gather more information, more involvement to the community.
Thank you. Any other discussion? See everybody up. So I'll go to Councilmember Marino, Vargas, and then to Director Moretti.
Thank you. Yep. The resolution sets a minimum standard, so the more input, the more ways we can get public involved, I'm all for it, so.
Thank you. Councilmember Vargas, did you have something to follow up?
So my whole thing, just for clarity purpose, do we want to, put a deadline as far as a survey? And I know Councilwoman Renzulli and I have talked about it. We talked about it in some ways with the administration. I know the administration wants to or prefers to do a poll. I assume that's what Director Moretti may be walking or making his way to the poll to say. I'm not sure, but either way, I'll let him speak on that end, right? So if we do the survey on here, I don't think that there isn't, I hope is that if we do the survey, we're able to then gather those, analyze those results and then provide them over to the clerk for the record to then be able to disseminate that information to the rest of the council members, to everyone, and obviously to the administration. I would assume that that would be okay to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a total team effort. And I think the more information that we get distributed, the better. And it's, it's a team effort with the administration too. for that.
All right, I appreciate it, because then in that case, what I'd like to do, if possible, we've talked about this as well, I've talked about it with Councilman Renzulli, is provide that link and be able to provide that over to the superintendent's office to see if they're able to disseminate that information to the parents, and find other avenues where we can work with the administration and so forth, at least for the meantime. And then any other additional suggestions or anything like that, we can continue to do so, whether it's now, next year or the funds that are still going to be within the actual account, American Rescue Plan account. So, but at least to get the ball going and have some recommendation to provide to all of us in administration, that would be a great start. So definitely happy to work with you and put some of those questions as we have.
Yeah, and just to note for the record too, I did talk to budget analyst DeMayo earlier today. He's not feeling well. So yeah, I know he's probably home watching.
He is.
Certainly wish him well. Thank you for not being here. I would have sent you home if you came in the way you sounded when you called me. So he has a lot of ideas and good things to do with this moving forward. So I look forward to seeing what he has and will bring to the table.
Thank you.
Director Moretti?
Thank you. I'm sure the administration is all for whatever surveys, whatever feedback people want to give. The only concern caution would be the accuracy of the results of such a survey. If we're going to be reaching out to certain groups or certain constituencies, I think we have to be sure that that survey probably reaches a cross section of all individuals in the city. I think that's the fair thing to do, because otherwise it's not going to be a statistical survey, necessarily accurate or inaccurate. It's to be a survey for input, which is all well and good. But I just want to caution that. The other thing too, did you mention that you're going to put a council survey up, or you'd be working with that survey, developing the survey with the administration? I'm not sure what Mr. Piver agreed to. I guess we would say the administration would like to participate with you. That's probably what I'm really trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely. One team, one dream, for sure.
Absolutely. Thank you. As a matter of fact, I'd love to even have a press conference and invite the delegation as well, our reps and our senators, and possibly make this a big deal, because it is a big deal. This is funds that are coming into Cranston, and make sure that if we can find and work with everyone to be able to, again, disseminate that information, that there is a survey that is out there. We may not touch every home that is out there, but we're definitely working to making sure that we are working towards that and making sure that everybody has the opportunity to take this survey. So whether it's placing some sort of ad, I've always said Facebook ad or some sort of thing that we can possibly do. I know that does cost money for something like that. I'm not sure if we have to go again before us, given the fact that those are funds coming in this account, or if there's ways to work around it. I'm not really sure on that end, but definitely making sure that we get the message out. I think it's the most important thing. And I think we would all agree on that, I would assume. Yeah.
Once again, I agree with you. Just one other
That's very
thing,
fair.
and the councilwoman indicated, because we had discussed the idea of a poll, a statistical poll, similar to what you have in elections. There are pollsters that actually have done ARPA polls to develop a certain level of accuracy. Given that cross section, I would take the position that in addition to that, to your survey, to every other way of manners of receiving input, that a poll is considered that could actually maybe be judged certain degree of accuracy, which questions to develop the administration and the city council, or representative of the city council. So I think a poll could be another vehicle of getting a read on what people are looking for.
So much.
Thank you, Director. Any other discussion? Councilmember Frey.
Yes, I just wanted to clarify something. There seemed to have been some confusion at the finance meeting. When I started working on this resolution, I just want people to understand, when a council person is working on a resolution or an ordinance, they are only allowed to speak to 3 other people about an issue. Speaking to more than 3 people would be a violation of open meetings laws. And we've been instructed very carefully by council to always be careful about who we speak to, how many people we speak to, whether or not they go to another person and speak, and then it becomes a continuing meeting. So I know that some people were like questioning or offended by the fact that I didn't involve them in this at the beginning, and if there was a misunderstanding, I just want to apologize because you're not allowed to speak to every council member about an issue, whether it be this or an ordinance. So just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion on the resolution? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Should, if I may, Council
sorry-
President, should I
sorry
make
about
a
that.
motion to amend?
Sure.
If I may, on line 66, after the words city council, if we could add and to participate in a city council survey and all the other languages to remain. Okay?
Second that.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the amendment, which we seem like we just discussed?
It might want to be at city council and in conjunction with the administration. Is that what you're going to say?
Possibly just. city.
Possibly.
Or just
Or
wanna say
just city of Cranston? I don't
So how
know.
about we withdraw and we'll redo the amendment?
Yep, okay. Ready, Rosalba? Okay, I'll make a motion to amend on line 66 after the words city council. We will add the language and to participate in a city survey, and the remaining language can just remain. Thanks.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Council Member Riley.
Yep, I just wanted to thank everybody for their openness tonight and collaborating, everybody's different ideas. I think the survey is great. And for that reason, I certainly will be supporting this tonight.
Thank you, Council Member Riley. Council Member Vargas.
Yes, so given the fact that we've had this conversation, all I'm asking is to the sponsors, if you do not mind me being a co-sponsor. Thank you.
So Council Member Vargas, any other co-sponsors? Council Member Jermaine, Council Member Renzulli, Council Member Riley. Anybody else? Council Member Jermaine, Council Member Renzulli, Council Member Riley. Does Mayor Hopkins want to sponsor the resolution? Okay. Don't answer. Any other? I promise not to put you on the spot. All right, any other council members? Council Member Campo Piano, if the sponsors don't mind, I'll be a co-sponsor as well. Any other comments on the amendment? Kind of got off the track there. There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll on the, Director Moretti on the amendment. Good? All right. All right, so let's take the roll on this one amendment. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino?
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine?
Yes.
Councilman Donegan? Councilman Campiano?
Yes.
Councilman Riley?
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry?
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas?
Yes. Director Moretti?
I know it is a council resolution. and I mentioned the poll, suggesting that you might want to have an amendment to also include a poll. But obviously it's your resolution. We can't dictate, the administration can't dictate your resolution. So if you would want to consider similar language to what Councilwoman Marino mentioned, except replacing the survey to a poll, a professional poll of some fashion.
I think that covers it. Sorry. Do you think it covers it or?
If I,
Councilmember Marino?
Thank you, Council President. While, as I mentioned before, the resolution sets a minimum standard, so it doesn't preclude additional steps being taken. And with respect to a poll, as we all know, is more formal in terms of if we were to engage an outside vendor, we'd have to send it for an RFP. While I'm new to council, just my experience as a resident is that process takes, I think, a minimum 60 days, sometimes 90 days for an RFP to come back. So we're not going to have, it will stymie the ability to get input from the poll before the upcoming budget. So I don't want to, put that in here. I don't think it would be prudent to do that. It's not to say a poll can't take place, but I don't see how we're going to be able to manage all of that before the budget season.
Thank you, Councilmember Marino. Director Moretti? Do you have any follow-up?
I don't know, I don't know if Director Strom has some insight into the procurement of someone to conduct the poll, if it has to go through the entire formal process or not. So
Yeah, with the criteria.
Yeah, I'm certainly not opposed to a poll. I think a survey and a poll or a mixture of the two would be the way to go. I mean, that's why I suggested the two council members, budget analyst DeMayo and Mr. Lima working together to kind of get that done because we wouldn't have to put that out to bid. You know, that's all of us working as a team or with the administration and Director Strom to get that all put together and finalized. Councilmember Vargas?
Council President, I agree with you on that. I think we can definitely start off on the surveys is one way. I think if we want to do the poll, we can, I'm not in objection to it either. So as long as we go through the proper channels, it doesn't necessarily mean, by the way, that, I mean, I hope we're not spending this right away, you know, the but millions that are coming our way. So definitely no objection to the polls or even even entertaining the idea of a consultant perhaps is even something that it's definitely worth discussing, I guess, to get the rolling, the survey would start. And then if we want to do the poll, at least we're able to still be able to conduct it throughout, while we go through the bid process. I know you want to be very inclusive and make sure we grab everyone, and I'm happy to hear that you are, but at the same time, we can get the survey going and then do the poll thing too.
okay, thank you. I'll be back. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Councilmember Donegan?
Thank you, Council President. Just two quick questions. If it's going on the city page, I assume all results will be public information that we'll all have access to. And then final approval of like the survey itself, will that come to the full council to approve, what's on the survey, what the question is, the verbiage, et cetera?
Yeah, I think that would probably be included in a report that our council budget analyst can put together. That'll be a section of the report.
So
Yes.
Council President, thank you. I do want to put on the record, I did speak to the director of the library, Ed Garsha, as well. So if he wants, if Director DeMayo is not able to do so, and if the administration is also okay with it, to be able to facilitate that information and being a neutral, I don't want to use neutral party, but in a way, a neutral partnership. He did say that he would be happy to be part of the conversation and be able to also help us put the survey out there and facilitate, in other words, be able to gather the final analysis and results that we get from that and be able to provide that to the council and the mayor's office as well.
Okay. Thank
So
you very-
we have a few options that we can definitely work with.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Director Strom? Name and address for the record. I'm just kidding.
Well,
I'm just
actually,
kidding.
Bob Strom, 90 Wayward Street in Cranston now.
The floor is yours, sir.
Okay. I wanted to make sure I want to get clarification. If we do a poll or a survey or of something of that nature and the information's gathered, we want to make sure that whatever information you bring forward is eligible to be used that money for. You can't just use it for anything. And that's still something that I am working with somebody to review on a day-to-day basis. So I'm not opposed to the constituents giving information or requests, but I want to make sure that the council knows that it's going to be eligible to use that money. And that's my main concern. Okay.
Thank you, Director. Councilmember Renzulli.
Director Strom, I just want to let you know that the questions would be posed only around the categories that the money already qualifies to pay for. So we'd be using similar questions that have already gone out in surveys and kind of editing them to fit the city of Cranston. So it's not going to just be an open block, tell us what you want to spend money on. And we can also run those those questions by you so that you can, say that you approve them.
Thank you. Council Vice President Ferry.
I'll be quick. I just want to just reiterate that we really need to keep an eye on the timeline because it's December before you know it, and it'll be January before you know it. So we just need to make sure that we're going to get these things done by February. Thank you.
You got it? Everybody's putting their hands up. Councilmember Vargas and the Councilmember Donegan.
Thank you. Just real quickly, the survey does cost money if you are doing it through Survey Monkey. So my only question to the director is, how do we go about and how do we process a cost of the Survey Monkey? Because it is free up to X amount of email recipients. But if you get closer to 15,000 for whether we do or do not, how does that work in that term of paying $70, $100 for a survey? 'Cause I use Survey Monkey at my job all the time and we pay for that obviously, but I'm just wondering for something that is that dollar amount, obviously it's under the bidding amount, how do we go about that cost? Because it's still ARP, if we decide to use ARPA money and we have a resolution and ordinance that's gone before us and that cost is coming out of these funds, does it have to come to us and to be approved again? And if that's the case, does then it have to come before the council and then wait now till December?
I think we might be getting a little bit in the weeds here. We do have orders of the council, so depending on how much it is, we could pay for it.
Okay, then that's fine,
out
as
of that,
long as,
but-
okay.
Certainly, we can have a meeting offline and get that part figured out, but Director Strom, did you have something?
For $75? Okay,
Yeah,
we'll get it
this
out of the
isn't- this
council. We'll
isn't
have a
advertised,
conversation.
Yeah, we're off the resolution.
Sorry. Okay, all right. Wait, nope, I am a little bit out of order on that
Thank you.
agenda. Thank you.
Councilmember Donegan, any discussion on the resolution as a whole? We're gonna wrap this up. Go ahead. I understand what you're saying. The whole council should have input on exactly on what's on the survey, but once we get, I'm open to that. I'm just worried about the timeline. Every time we're gonna get everybody together to approve a question, I was hoping that putting Councilmember Rizzuli and Vargas together with Mr. DeMayo and Mr. Lima, they could get 99% of it done. I'm sure there's a way we can get it in front of us for us all to look at it and see it before it goes up. But I got faith in the process and Director Strom as well. Right. Any other discussion? Council Vice President.
I think I want to be involved in those meetings, please.
I'm trying to keep it streamlined as possible, but Member Rizzuli.
I just have a related question. Are we allowed to have meetings that are like workshops in essence? Because I know the open meetings process, you can't have more than 4 people. You know what I'm saying? Can we do that or so that we can all work together and do this? How is that possible?
We're gonna have workshops and all get in a room. Yeah, I have some framework I'll announce after this resolution is off the table. Any other discussion on the resolution itself? We already passed the amendment, correct? I forgot where we even are. All right. Madam Clerk, please take the roll on the resolution. I think we're all co-sponsors now.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, okay. Just give me a minute or two to just go over what I was envisioning for this workshop moving forward. Obviously, numerous people here have said that this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Totally agree. I think we should all have a voice and be able to participate in the process of the workshops. I envision these workshops being hosted by the full council here in chambers for the fact that we spent the money, we have the Zoom access. So anybody from home or anywhere can call in and speak to us. Also, we have the YouTube simulcast capabilities. So I think that is a huge advantage being in chambers here. Obviously, we just talked about the survey. Our first meeting that we have, I think Budget Analyst DeMayo, along with Director Strom, can kind of give us an overview of what can be used, can't be used in the opera funds, and really get into that discussion at our first meeting. For Council Vice President Ferry, really get the ball rolling on this, and certainly has been hitting the timeline pretty hard, wanting to make sure we get this done in time. I think if we have 2 meetings in January, at least 1 meeting in February, if not 2 in February, and then we can have a final report reported back to us with all the results from all the work that comes through with the workshop. We can definitely get everything done by the April 1st deadline when the budget is introduced. So I think January and February, have the workshops, get that full report reported back to us on what the council came up with the administration through the workshops. And then we'll have a good picture on what we can't do, how the money can be spent moving into the budget. So that's kind of how I envision things going forward. All right, moving on the docket. Finance Committee, Council Vice President, the floor is still yours.
Okay, back. So the resolution passed, right?
We are on the,
Resolution authorizing wheel tax. Do we vote on that resolution?
nope, we were good. Yeah, we voted on the full resolution.
Okay.
Now we're on tax abate.
Resolution authorizing real estate tax abatements. This was approved in committee. I urge passage tonight. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion on the tax abatements? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan. Councilman Campiano,
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Next is resolution authorizing motor vehicle tax abatements. This was approved in committee. I urge passage tonight. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas. Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan. Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
Next is a resolution authorizing tangible tax abatements. This was approved in committee. I urge passage tonight. Do I have a motion to approve?
To approve. Second.
Any discussion?
Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes.
And last is tax interest waiver approvals. They were approved in committee. I urge passage tonight. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
Okay, any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino.
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas. Councilwoman Jermaine.
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, thank you. That concludes the Finance Committee. Thank you, Council Vice President Ferry. Moving on to the Ordinance Committee, Chairman Riley.
Thank
I
you.
believe we
Council
only
President.
have one item on here. The floor is yours, the last
Thank
one.
you. Yes, we have ordinance 9-21-08, ordinance and amendment of chapter 10.32.030, the city code entitled Motor Vehicles and Traffic, Multi-Way Intersections, sponsored by Councilman Ferry and Councilwoman Marino, and this passed the Ordinance Committee.
Thank
Motion to
you.
approve.
Thank you, Councilman. We have a motion to approve in a second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli.
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas.
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan. Councilman Campiano.
Yes.
Councilman Riley,
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry.
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, okay. Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to public comment for undocketed items. Is there anybody here from the public to speak on any undocketed items? If you are on Zoom, please raise your hand. If you are on the phone, *9.
See no public comment?
Okay, thank you. I will close public hearings. Moving on to election and/or appointments of city officials. We have the reappointment of Larry Warner for a term to expire on December 3rd, 2024 for the Library Board of Trustees. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino?
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine?
Yes.
Councilman Donegan? Councilman Campiano?
Yes.
Councilman Riley?
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry?
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas?
Yes. Motion passes. Moving on to the Juvenile Hearing Board. We have a reappointment of Carol, Councilman Vargas, how do I say this? Aguavivas,
Aguas Vivas, you got it.
you, for a term to expire on December 1st, 2024, sponsored by Councilwoman Vargas. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve?
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion, a second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino?
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine?
Yes.
Councilman Donegan? Councilman Campiano?
Yes.
Councilman Riley?
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry?
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas?
Yes. Okay, we have the appointment of Bernard Kevin O'Connor as an alternate member of the Juvenile Hearing Board for a term set to expire December 22nd, 2022, sponsored by Council Vice President Ferry. Do we have a
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino?
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas? Councilwoman Jermaine?
Yes.
Councilman Donegan? Councilman Campiano?
Yes.
Councilman Riley?
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry?
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas?
Yes. Okay, moving on to the Zoning Board of Review. The appointment of Jason Joden, PMP, as a fourth alternate member for a term to expire on November 22nd, 2022, sponsored by myself. Entertain a motion.
To approve?
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino?
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas? Councilwoman Jermaine?
Yes. Sorry.
Councilman Donegan? Councilman Campiano?
Yes.
Councilman Riley?
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry?
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas?
Yes. Next, we have a City Planning Commission. There's no vote needed for this appointment. This is the appointment of James Donahue, filling the unexpired term of Joseph Morales for a term to expire on December 17th, 2022. I just want to thank Mr. Morales for his years of service to our city. Thank you. Moving on, under Executive Communications, we have a request to be changed from a service pension to a disability pension for Harold Winstanley for the Cranston Fire Department. Do we need to go into executive session for this, Director Perillo? Okay. So we do already have a motion to take the docket out of order. Under miscellaneous business, we do have an executive session. So I'd like to entertain a motion to go into executive session pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42465 A1 personnel.
So moved.
Okay. Director Perillo, was he noticed?
Councilwoman Vargas? Councilwoman Jermaine?
Yes.
Councilman Donegan? Councilman Campiano?
Yes.
Councilman Riley?
Yes.
Council Vice President Ferry? Council
Yes.
President Paplaskas?
Yes. Okay, we're now in executive session, and to those watching on Zoom or YouTube, we should be back in a few minutes. Yes. Okay, we are out of executive session. Mr. Lima, are we back live on YouTube and Zoom?
Correct.
Okay, we are back live. Just going to make an announcement that no votes were taken in executive session, and I'll entertain a motion to seal the minutes of that executive session.
Motion to seal the minutes.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino?
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli?
Yeah.
Councilwoman Vargas?
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine?
Yes.
Councilman Donegan? Councilman Campiano? Councilman Riley?
Yes.
Councilman Ferry?
Yes.
Council President Peppercorn?
Yes, well, we're going to pause right here because we need to get Ron, the stenographer. We might have to redo some of that. All right. So we're going to retake the vote to seal the minutes. I'll entertain a motion to seal the minutes
Motion to seal the minutes?
Second.
of the executive session. And that's because stenographer wasn't back yet. I jumped the gun. That's my fault. So we're going to, the first one was practice.
Motion to seal the
We need a
minutes.
motion to seal the minutes from the executive session. And we have a second.
Councilwoman Marino?
We're not trying to confuse you. I might be a little confused myself, though. So just to report out, there were no votes taken in executive session. And Madam Clerk, please take the roll to seal the minutes.
Councilwoman Marino?
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas? Councilwoman Jermaine?
Yes.
Councilman Donegan? Councilman Campiano? Councilman Riley?
Yes.
Council President Ferry?
Yes.
Council President Peppercorn?
Yes. Okay. Now we can go back on the docket to executive communications. Director Moretti, do you want to read into? Yeah, do you want to read into the record the request for the pension issue? Do you want me to do it?
The administration requests that the disability, that a service pension be changed to disability pension for Mr. Harold Winstanley from the Cranston, retired from the Cranston Fire Department.
Motion to approve?
Thank you. We have a motion to approve. Do we have
Second.
a second? We have a second. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino?
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli?
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas? Councilwoman Jermaine?
Yes.
Councilman Donegan? Councilman Campiano? Councilman Riley?
Yes.
Council President Ferry?
Yes.
Council President Peppercorn?
Yes. Thank you very much. Director Moretti, you have a couple other things you wanted to update us on?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
Regarding the mausoleum, there's been some developments over the past week or two since Halloween. The administration had DPW sure up the building, secure it even to a greater extent than it was before, because people find a way of getting in there. It's awful for anyone who's been there. The desecration of some of the bodies, the indignity suffered by these people that are interned there. So we're doing everything we can within reason to secure the building. We've added more physical reinforcements. We have cleared a 20-foot perimeter of the building of all shrubbery, overgrowth, with the intentions of enabling the police department to have better visibility on their patrols. They're stepping up police patrols. Every shift is going by the building and checking it out. If you don't know, that building that was deemed abandoned by a judge several years ago, so it has no ownership. The city does not own it. As a little background, to this, has been a decades-old problem there, where people would break into this abandoned facility, done indignities to the remains, opened coffins. It's just awful. So, so we'd shore up the building to try to keep it safe from intrusion, but they managed to get through. That's kind of the history on the building. So we've stepped that up even more to really try to prevent it. I think it's going to help a whole heck of a lot, what we did. Hopefully it goes a long way. But we're, in fact, on the way here, I heard there was a call going, not a call, but someone, an officer going by the facility. So hopefully we'll have better results, or basically no result actually as a result of things. We don't own the building, as I mentioned, but there's a potential object that was in the building that could be valuable. We had somewhat a professional in that industry where that object, that domain of that industry, let me just say that, an expert. We had that item removed from the building. It's in safe storage. It could be potentially valuable. So not sure it is. The solicitor's office is for the attorneys who would understand this better than most. The city is going to file a receivership for that item to work with the courts to the disposition of it. Probably the intent is going to lead to the last, what I'm about to say, is a long-term strategy that we're trying to work out, is stepping up a campaign, working with the governor's office to try to get the money and the resources to try to get those bodies out of that decrepit, decaying facility. It's only going down. It's not going to get better. Hopefully to relocate the bodies, perhaps to a cemetery. It'll be open for discussion, this whole concept. But you may have heard on the news and our own private discussions here and there that trying to fill a couple of you people in on that to possibly relocate the bodies. It could cost the tune of about $500,000. In speaking with the funeral director that was willing to donate his time, he worked on this project several years ago. So in so doing, we had discussions with the governor's office, and they took the position that they wanted to see if the city could pay for it ourselves, or better yet, to work with the General Assembly and hopefully them to work with us, the three bodies, if you will, the city, the state, pardon me, the executive and the legislative branch, to come up with a solution, a viable logistical solution and a financial solution. As such, we have called the administration has called requested a meeting with the Cranston delegation, the state reps, the state senators. That meeting we're going to be having here December 2nd, at 6 p.m. And so they're invited because the discussion took place on open meetings. I would just caution, certainly you're welcome to come, but I just caution the open meetings that I believe the attorney has said that it may be a violation if 5 or more from the council did attend. So I'll defer it to them, but wanted to let you know that is going on. So, and the intent there is to, as I mentioned, just try to develop a plan and see if we have support with the General Assembly, and we'll go from there to see, hopefully do the right thing for the people that are there, for those bodies that are unclaimed. That's an update on the mausoleum. If you had any questions on that. And the one other thing is I was yesterday, I had a conversation with the folks over at DOT concerning, the question came up about the bike path ownership. DOT, they had several staff members. I know there, I believe Councilman Ferry, Councilwoman Marino were asking about ownership. They clearly claim ownership to the bike path, the Department of Transportation. And yes, as you know, we have an agreement that the city's responsible to maintain the bike path, if you will, for like a $5,000, up to $5,000 per project. And that if there's any improvements, whether it be, I'll say beautification or structural, I'll kind of differentiate, whatever the projects might be, or proposals that this body or the city would like to see, they welcome them to be proposed to DOT, and then they would just see where, if there's money available, and where those projects might stack up. So, but in terms of, I'll say capital type projects, to be referred to DOT. Certainly, I had to ask the question about if there was a safety issue, possible if there was deterioration of the path itself in terms of washing away, items like that. You know, they pretty much know that anything to do with safety called to their attention, they're going to get on it. But they took a common sense approach. If this group, or I'll say city as a whole, would like to see some things done, to propose it to them. Now, something they mentioned, because I took it a step further, and they says, I've heard that, you know, certain areas of the bike path, or whether it be the East Bay or this bike path, perhaps in other communities, it's spruced up and it appears to be in better condition than Cranston. They kind of retorted a bit by saying there's other communities, if you go down those paths, and I haven't been on other communities recently, but they say Cranston probably stacks up pretty well to their standards. And then I did say, well, it seems like some may have been exceptionally nice. Something they pointed out was that they have an agreement with DEM, particularly on the East Bay path, that DEM is responsible for maintaining the bike path. So DEM may have done improvements. I don't know specifically, but they may have improved the properties. Maybe DEM doing the wrong things, that was suggested, but they didn't feel that Cranston was neglected or treated any better or any worse in terms of the condition and what they do. And they noted, they said actually Cranston does a pretty good job trying to keep it neat, neat and clean compared to other areas. So that's the information I'm just passing along. I just again, if you have anything you propose, they're open to listening. Let's say that. I don't know if the pocketbooks are open.
Thank you, Director. Anything else? Okay, thank you. Moving on to Council President Communications. Just want to first off wish everybody a wonderful and happy Thanksgiving. Seems like this month flew by, but in a couple of days we'll all be eating some turkey. So looking forward to that. And also like to invite everyone to the Knightsville Gazebo Christmas tree lighting. That will be happening December 1st. It's a Wednesday at 6 p.m. In Knightsville, right at the corners of Phoenix Avenue and Park Avenue. So if you're available, please come and join us. It's usually a really good time. Moving on to council member communications. Councilwoman Vargas, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Council President, and wishing you and your family and everyone as well a happy Thanksgiving. Just a quick thing on here. As we're going and as we're having a conversation about the playgrounds throughout, at least in Ward 1 within like the friendly community, just wanted to know if there's any way through the administration, and perhaps, I can send this over to the Public Works Committee, just to get an assessment as far as just playgrounds in general in our city as to the shape, how they are, repairs that are possibly need. I'm wondering if there's some sort of perhaps a report of some sort that could be shared with us as the council. And while I did already touch base with Director DeSaglia and Director Moretti on Edgewood Playground, which is a playground right next to Edgewood Highland, and playgrounds that are next to the school department are actually not, in fact, from what I was told, being maintained by the school department, but it actually falls under the Parks and Recs. And so that playground, there's, there's a bench that's broken and there's a sliding tube that is broken. And the rubber mat, I guess, is not in the best conditions. And so, well, I appreciate the conversation I've had already with the administration and they're on it. For me, it's more of, we're seeing more and more playgrounds that some are being redone. I think Smith Street is being done in Ward 1 as well, and there's so many others. But if I can get it, we can get an assessment to possibly either the next or in January. That would be great.
Good idea, find something that they know, it's kind of just reducing it to assess before that, maybe something. Not a lengthy written report, perhaps, but maybe a state.
Just something simple in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be great. Obviously with COVID and everything it's been going through, I think we've had a lot more of children and families using the playgrounds in general. And so, obviously wear and tear and so forth. So that's pretty much it. I think would be great for all of us to have throughout the city, not just Ward 1, of course. Would be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Council. Vice President Ferry, can you refer this to, and put this on your public works docket for next meeting? Thank you. Any other council member communications? There being none, we have no council business matters carried over. Moving on to introduction of new business, there's a couple of items here. I'll entertain a motion to send all of the new business items to the proper committee.
So moved.
Any discussion on that? There being none, Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mazzulli,
Yes.
Councilwoman Vargas, Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan, Councilman Campiano, Councilman Riley, Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes, and the last agenda item for this evening is a possible veto override for the ordinance 7-21-08, ordinance an amendment of chapter 12, the Code of City of Cranston, City 2005, entitled Streets, Sidewalks, and Public Places, Street Paving, sponsored by Councilman Donegan and Councilwoman Marino. This was vetoed by Mayor Hopkins, so I'll entertain a motion to override the veto.
Motion to override?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second under discussion.
Is anyone from the
Okay.
administration wants to talk about this?
Councilmember Enzuli to the administration.
Good evening, everybody. As Mayor Hopkins had indicated in his veto message, this is a very dangerous ground that the council could be going down. There's two specific portions and problems with this ordinance. The first one is it's in direct violation of the Public Records Open Meetings Act, which defines what is protected under subsection K. Whatever is requested in this ordinance, whether it be about streets, paving, yada, 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 it's work product. And it's the work product of Mr. Mason, and it's the work product of his department, and in turn, it's the work product of the administration. And I was here when Mr. Mason had made that comment about making it available, which gets me into my second point. But first, it's a violation of the general laws of the state of Rhode Island. This is specifically prevented from being released. The other part of it is this council, under our own charter, under 3.19, no member of this council, either individually or collectively, publicly or privately, shall demand anything from any department head. That's what this ordinance is doing. It's demanding in violation, and there's a penalty. You can look it up. I'd be happy to tell you, but there's a penalty clause written in 3.19 in which your seats can be vacated by a majority vote if that were so to happen. Now, every member of this body has the ability to request information from the administration, and the administration will give it to you. But to demand, as this ordinance does, in a public manner, by making an ordinance, it's an absolute violation of the charter and of the general laws of the state of Rhode Island. So based on that, it's my opinion that the veto should hold, and you should not be voting to override the veto. So that's my legal opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. And just to clarify, usually on the veto overrides, we don't debate the whole purpose of the bill again. I'll give a little leeway on this, but I like to try and get to a vote on this. Any other questions or comments before I call for a roll? There being, Councilmember Marino.
Yeah, I'd just like to say that the intent is for public access and makes it a public record. And I'd like to hear from our counsel as to the legal strengths. Thank you.
Good evening. Couple of things. I mean, first of all, it's not an Open Meetings Act violation. The Access to Public Records Act was alluded to. That's 38-2-1. You know, when the legislation doesn't seek to access a public record, quite frankly, it seeks to elucidate information for the public, including the members of the taxpayers of the city of Cranston. That's the purpose of the legislation. That's why he passed it. Ironically enough, the purpose of the Access to Public Records Act is to have transparency in public records. That's the purpose of the act. So I disagree with the exception that's been cited here. Incidentally, it wasn't cited in the opinion. It's K. It's the proper exception that's been cited, I believe, is 38-2-2K. Ironically enough, if you read the entire subsection K, it says preliminary drafts, notes, impressions, memoranda, working papers, and work products, including those involving research at state institutions of higher education on commercial, scientific, artistic, technical, or scholarly issues, whether in electronic or other format, provided, however, any documents submitted at a public meeting of a public body shall be deemed public. This public body, by this legislation, is requiring that this information be public. Just that simple. So I see it as within the purview of the council to request that the information be public and to require that. As far as interference with the administration, I take a very different interpretation of that. You're just making it a requirement of how the administration is to behave with the disclosure of certain information, not really different than a number of other pieces of information that are disclosed. So did that answer your question, Councilwoman?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? There being none, a yes is to override, a no is to not override. Is that correct? Madam Clerk? Yep. Okay, so yes would be to override the mayor's veto. A no would be to not override. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilwoman Marino,
Yes.
Councilwoman Renzulli,
No.
Councilwoman Vargas,
Yes.
Councilwoman Jermaine,
Yes.
Councilman Donegan,
Yes.
Councilman Campiano,
No.
Councilman Riley,
No.
Council Vice President Ferry,
Yes.
Council President Paplaskas.
Yes. Veto's overrode. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to.
Oh, hold on one second. Before we go, there's a Scrivener's error on the city council's next regular monthly meeting will be held December 20th, 2021, not January 24th. So December 20th, 2021. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Second. Any discussion? There be none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving.